Welcome everybody. It's build day. This build day, I've been waiting 477 days for. Oh yeah, I did the math this time. Check out the unboxing if you don't know what I'm talking about. We're building a RAMA U80. How about that? This keyboard, as I mentioned in the unboxing, is one of the ones that got me into this hobby. Aesthetically. I've never typed on one, never held one before I did the unboxings. Seen a lot of them. I really like the way it looks. And I ordered this October 17th, 2020. And I got it a couple days ago. I forget exactly how many days ago now. Look at the date the unboxing went out, because I actually published a video the day after I recorded it, which is amazing for me. And we're gonna build one today. As I mentioned in the unboxing video, we are going to be starting with the Moon unit. I've got a theme build planned for my Soya unit. Once that build video is up, I will come back and put a card on screen or a link in the description, you know, because YouTube likes to link features. So who knows, maybe cards won't exist in the future, but hopefully descriptions do. Anyway, there'll be a link somewhere so you can go watch the Soya theme build. Yeah, today we're building the Moon one. So to go with this keyboard, we have Geek Arc White on Black, which is a PBT set. Nothing too special aesthetically, but it is my first PBT White on Black set in the Cherry profile, which is exciting. And that group buy also had a Mac OS compatibility kit. So because this is my first keyboard with the 7U layout, where it's 1.51, 1.57, 1.51, 1.5 layout, it's actually my only keycap set I have right now that has the proper layout for the Mac OS modifiers. So we will be using that keycap set. We're gonna be using the aluminum plate that's stock with it. I'm just gonna build it as prescribed by RAMA the first time. And then I've got other plates and stuff, as you saw in the unboxing, to experiment with. So, caps, keyboard, stabilizers, shock and surprise. We have Duroc V2 stabilizers, Krytox 205 grade 0 on the plastic on plastic interfaces. The wires are lubed with Krytox XHT BDZ. And for switches, we are using the Texi Zaku switches, which I believe were designed or commissioned by Bolsa Supply. But I got a bunch of these lubed and filmed. Plastic on plastic interfaces, lubed with Krytox 205 grade 0, spring, super long springs in these, by the way. First time having a spring that long in a switch. Lubed with the GPL 105, and we're using Desky's black switch films. So we got those switches, these stabs, those caps, and this keyboard. I'm very excited. The assembly of the RAMA U80 is actually really easy. The mute mount makes for very few parts overall in the keyboard, which is absolutely fantastic. I am opening this box and realizing I actually don't need this box yet. I need to prepare the PCB first, which is not in this box, but the plate's in this box, so I'll need this box soon. Okay, this is starting off smashingly. I'm going to get this box out of the way. And then because I have a whole bunch of accessories, I forget what is in which accessory box. I think my hot swap was in here. At the very least, we've got the screws and stuff for this one, our fun stickers, we've got our mute mount for this one. That is our hot swaps. We need that. That's solderable. We don't need that. And then the weight and the silicone dampener. I think what I'm gonna do for sound tests on this video is I'll do a test without anything, a test with the weight, and a test with the silicone dampener so we can compare all of those. I think that'd be an interesting thing to put at the end. Oh, and feats. We need feats. As always, sound tests are not representative of how a keyboard will sound in your space. They are best. They are at best a tool for comparing builds in the same space. So I always do, you know, kind of an A/B test of some type in my sound tests to give them some actual value. So I think comparing the internal options would be cool. Maybe at some point I'll do them with plates, you know, that kind of thing. But I think starting there is good. So, PCB prep. Get the mute out of the way for the moment. Keep our hardware nearby because that's going to be next. But if you've watched any of my videos or hopefully any other keyboard tutorials, what do you do first with your PCB? Anybody? You test it. Test your PCB. Don't sue me, Nintendo. I like the gray solder mask on this PCB. It's quite a cool color. You can see the logos there. And the silk screen. Yeah, the branding on the other side. Yeah, gray PCB is quite cool. I've never seen a gray PCB before. We got logos. Oh, and the same branding on this side too. It's all mirrored. Cool. Cool. Yeah, you can see very opinionated PCB. There's no options, no stepped caps, no split back, no bottom row options, none of that. I really wish they offered bottom row options. 7U is not my preference. I wish they offered stepped caps. I wish they offered split back. But you make trade-offs for a keyboard this stunning. So I am going to test this. I'm not going to bore you with that, so I will be right back. All right, happy, healthy PCB. We are looking good. So I'm going to remove the JST here. Is this an asymmetrical one? It is an asymmetrical one. Looks like an identical connector to the one used on the Mode 65, which is great. I like that JST a lot. It is asymmetrical, so you can't put it in wrong. And easy to remove. The Mode 80 JST was remarkably stiff. So first things first, we need to put on standoffs, of which there are 12? 12? Really? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, well, never mind. That seemed like way too many to have on a single keyboard, but I was incorrect. More fun time stickers. RAMA stickers everywhere. And a RAMA USB cable. Awesome. Not gonna need that for the moment. Here's our standoffs. Here are our Torx tools. And yet another RAMA switch puller. Which is great. I have so many of these now. For stupid reasons, I have that many, but I have a lot of them. So I'm going to, well, let me do the first one with y'all, but then I won't bore you by making you watch me do all 12. Fun use for 3D printers, by the way, is printing your own parts trays. I did one in hexagon. I was just kind of playing with shapes. They're fun. Neat little thing. Okay, so we've got two kinds of screws in here. We have got socket cap screws, which is the top one there. It's kind of got the cylindrical top hat on it. And then we've got countersunk screws, rather, sorry, which are the one that just rolled in my hand there near the bottom. The reason, you have a Lensian, the reason the lower one is countersunk like that is so it sits flat with the plate. Whereas the socket cap one can just go on the bottom of the PCB, and because of the amount of airspace down there, it won't collide with anything. So, all that to say, back of the PCB has the sockets on it. You want your... Oh my god, are these engraved too? Holy shit, these are engraved too. Sorry, I swore. I'll bleep that. My apologies. Yeah. Let me get this one in. So the screw goes on the back of the PCB. I'm holding it with my thumb there. I have a zoom lens, Ian. Do better. You can see it under my thumbnail there. And then the standoff goes on above that. Just like that. So you're gonna do that 12 times. What I was exclaiming at is that on the bottom of the U80, there's 4 screws that have their tops, well, have their tops engraved. There's obviously not enough room here, but yes, they are engraved around the edges, because of course they are. They are labeled M2-3, so M2 threads, 3mm thread length, and then T10, which I assume is the drive size. Yep, that's amazing. So, attention to detail is a funny thing. That, I appreciate that. We can zoom back out. I appreciate the level of detail that goes into lasering the hardware. Let's talk about hardware for a second, actually, first. Mounting hardware is very important. I just realized I think I actually did that incorrectly. Somewhere we have fasteners for the daughter board. Are there 3 types of fasteners in this cup? 15. No, that's excellent. The daughter board and the PCB standoffs use the same size of screw. Hardware. Okay, that's mounting hardware. Mounting hardware is really important. Obviously, I've never made a hardware product. That's not what I do. I critique them on this YouTube channel. And mounting hardware is incredibly important. If you get soft screws, it just makes for a bad building experience. Like if you're tensioning down a fastener and you feel it start to give out under the pressure of like an Allen key this long, that doesn't feel good. That feels cheap. And even worse is stripping heads on cheap screws. The difference between cheap mounting hardware and good mounting hardware is not that expensive. You don't need to be spending insane amounts of money on mounting hardware, but you also shouldn't get the cheapest stuff. When making a kit of any type, not just keyboards, any hobbyist kit, you want to have good mounting hardware. Do I think everyone needs to go to the level of RAMA and laser engrave the fasteners? I cannot imagine these countersunk ones are laser engraved. No, they're not. Yeah, there's nowhere to laser engrave those. Wait, hold on a second. No. Okay. It's important to get that right because it matters to the user. I have just scrolled down the directions. The M2-4 is for the daughter board, so it's the same size. And that's why they laser engraved them. Okay, never mind. I'm back on side. This is an important thing to do. All of these screws are M2 screws, meaning they have the 2mm thread size. But 4 of them have 4mm of thread because they're for the daughter board, which has deeper pockets. Thinking that's a 4mm one. Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna hold these up to the camera here so you can see. I'm actually gonna stand up so I can get even closer to the lens. So I'm holding them like this so you can see that they are very, very similar, but you see how one has less threading than the other, doesn't quite touch the cap, the underside of the cap of the other screw. These 3mm ones are for the standoffs. These 4mm ones are for the daughter board. And let's see if I can show this itty bitty little laser engraving. Come on, lens, I know that's close. I might need to punch it in post, that's fine. But you can see as I roll it there, M2-4. And it says RW for RAMA works, and T10, which is Torx 10 for the drive size. That's pretty remarkable. Any other company probably would have just put them in separate labeled baggies. See the Mode 65. Got away just fine with having multiple types of hardware just in labeled baggies. But no, RAMA laser engraves the screws. So I'm now going to screw in these screws that I've just talked about. I'm going to put the 12 standoffs in place. And then I'm going to mount stabilizers, actually. I'm not going to show mounting stabilizers in this one. I want to see how quick I can get these build videos down to after I just went on a 5-minute diatribe about mounting hardware. If you don't know how to mount stabilizers, there's lots of great tutorials. You can even watch some of my previous builds on mounting stabilizers. I'm going to try and keep a lot of the snappy with time lapses. So yeah, next time you see me, we'll have standoffs and stabilizers on the board. Let's do this thing. So I'm having an interesting issue here. The stabilizer for the enter key is crashing into the stabilizer for the shift key. I've just done a little bit of Googling. No one else has reported this issue with Duroc V2 stabilizers, at least. So I'm gonna fiddle a little bit. I've got BDZ all over my hands. I'm gonna fiddle a little bit here. I can get one side of the stabilizer in, but not the other. I think worst case what I can do is actually just clip the housing on the lower one to kind of get out of the way of the upper one. But that's interesting. Other people on Reddit have posted their builds with Duroc V2 stabilizers and have not noted any issues, which is fascinating. What it is the little hooks that grab the wire on the leading edge there are crashing into the housings of the lower ones. So what I'm going to do here, I think I'm just going to clip the housings. We're just going to try that. Stabilizers are cheap if this doesn't work. I mean, stabilizers are relatively cheap, actually. They're not that cheap. Compared to the keyboard, stabilizers are cheap. Put it that way. Nope, didn't quite unthread that all the way. Come on, buddy. Or actually, what I might try doing first is putting the return stabilizer in first, and then seeing if the shift might just slip past it. Normally, I would think you'd want to alternate the direction the wires face, like having this one be wire up and this one be wired down. Yeah, I'm not really entirely sure why that's not. I don't know. It might have crashed into the or covered the RGB LED above it. Not totally certain. But so let me first try that. Yeah, looks like that's just an install order thing, actually. Those, yeah, the clips are through, the screw bosses are through. Yeah, okay, there you go. So that's just an install order thing. Put the return one in before the shift one, or they won't slide past each other. That's interesting. See, we're learning things. I make these videos both because it's fun. I enjoy shooting and editing these videos. But hopefully I get to, maybe share a little knowledge. I try to make videos I would want to watch. I feel like I do okay at that. Okay, cool. So extra paper washers there for stabilizers. I've got like a bunch of stabilizer kits that like just have the 7U wire or just have a couple screws or something left over, and I just need to consolidate all of those. My go-to source now for stabilizers, I got 3, there's 4. My go-to source for stabilizers these days is Divinity. Not affiliated in any way, but they let you pick out just the parts you need. So you only get the wires that you need, you only get the right number of housings that you need. It's quite handy. All right, speaking of stabilizers, let's test some. So the Zaku switches are based off of the color scheme of a Gundam. I don't watch any of that, or haven't watched any of that rather. So that part has no interest for me. I think they're very handsome switches. They look great. I've been really into the long pole linears lately, which these have. So that is quite exciting to me to try these switches out. There have been a lot of great switches, I feel like, lately. It's hard to find space for everything. Okay, so we're gonna need backspace. These are quite handsome. The legends are a little different than GMK, but for die sub, these are really quite sharp. I'm quite impressed by these. I hope they look nice with the kind of gunmetal gray. Obviously, these are gonna sound terrible right now because it's just onto a PCB with an air gap below it. We're just trying to see how our stabilizers sound. I have not done my fine check yet, but those are sounding pretty excellent so far. And then I need the 7U spacebar, which is new for me. Which I believe is in, nope. For some reason, you're gonna see this when I open this tray. I ordered this from Swag Keys, and for some reason they also included the, hang on, here we go. They also included the novelties from PBT Cat. For some reason, I don't know why. Maybe they had extras. They're cute. It was just kind of a surprise to open the box and find those. I got the spacebar kit, which is what you see kind of smattered across the top here. And then I got the Mac OS kit, which is what you see down here, as well as the base kit, which is what makes up the first two trays. Man, 7U spacebars are long. Like it's less than a keycap longer than 6.25. It just looks very long. Okay, let's do some tappy taps. Sounds fantastic. I couldn't be happier with that. That's fantastic. I love that. Ooh. Goodness gracious. How do I have more? Oh, because I touched the stabilizer. That XHT BDZ lube that you use for, or that the Meta for stabilizers these days gets everywhere. Like, we kind of jokingly call it marshmallow fluff because it does look like it, but it is also just as, it's not sticky like marshmallow fluff because it's not, you know, sugar, obviously, but it just gets absolutely everywhere. I gotta be honest, I was a little worried about this set. This is my first, I think my first PBT keycap group buy. All the other PBT sets I have are just like in stock ones. Since I'd ordered this, obviously there's all the issues with like Infinity Key having warped keys and stuff. So I was like, kind of worried about a PBT set, but man, these look and sound really good. I'm excited about this. And ironically, fortunately, whatever, this set came in just this week. Like, had this set not come in, I would not have had an appropriate set of keycaps to cover the Mac OS 7U layout. So the timing on that was really phenomenal. I don't know how long ago I entered this group buy. This was one of my, not first, but early ones that I joined was the Geek Arc white on black. And I'm obviously haven't typed on it yet, but quite pleased so far. Big fan of that. Okay. Rearrange here, get these switches. Another placement. Oh, did I just bend their pin? Yes, I did. I am so sorry, Zaku. My apologies. I felt the switch roll in my hand as I picked it up and I was like, I just definitely bent one of the pins. It's funny, I ordered 100 of these and got 101, so I've got like my untouched sample in a little baggie. The rest of them are lubed and filmed, obviously. Okay, I'm gonna step away for a quick second and wash my hands to get the XHT BDZ off, and then we're going to continue. For you to be a moment, I'm not sure why I announced these things, because I could just silently get up, come back, and just cut in editing. But instead I tell you all every time. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. And as if by editing magic, I'm back. You never knew I left. Okay, next step. Standoffs and stabilizers are step 1. I've got the assembly guide off screen here, which is not that long because it's really a pretty simple build. But step 2 is mute mount. So we're gonna lay this in place, all 12 of the standoffs. Poke through. I already have more XHT on my hands. It gets everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. It's interesting to me that these wires are left exposed, but spacebar isn't. I wonder if there's a reason for that. Anyway. And plate time. Cool. Glad I washed my hands. I'm gonna undo the crinkly paper over here. Save y'all from having to hear more than I was editing the unboxing. I was like, oh god, this is just 40 minutes of paper crinkling. Cool. Plate goes over the mute mount. These protrusions in the mute mount kind of align with the plate. That is one handsome sandwich of keyboard right there. I am going to add a step, and I'm going to put in 2 of the corner switches. That is affirmative. Goodness gracious. It's a snappy plate both in looks and sound. That was dumb. Sorry. Edit that out. Cool. That way I just know the plate is aligned. And next up is screwing in the other side now. So those cone countersink screws I was showing you earlier, which are now out of frame. My apologies. You can see that there's a similar inverted cone shape in the plates. That way the screws sit completely flat against the plate when they're screwed in. And then after that is snapping in switches, actually. So I'm going to do both of those in the same time lapse. On the other side of this, we will have a screwed together and switch filled plate and PCB. And not only are the screws engraved, but even the Torx keys are too. Again, I don't know what all those numbers mean. T10 or T6 in this case means Torx 6. No idea what the rest of those numbers mean. Maybe internal part numbers. Who knows? But yeah, even these are engraved because, you know, why not? Okay, it might just be the Zaku switches because they were tight in my lubing station too, and they like very affirmatively snapped in to this PCB. So before we move on to actually assembling the keyboard here, because that's the next step, I'm going to test the PCB one more time to make sure all of our hot swap sockets are happily slotted into. So I'm gonna plug in the JST here. Open via. You gotta plug in the U80 here. This is the first time I'm seeing the RGB. That is quite something. Play the Song of My People. Excellent. That is very colorful. I'll play with the RGB a little bit more. I'm not gonna spend time on that right this moment. But we've got a PCB that works, which is great. I love that. I love when things work the first time. Pull our JST back out. All right, so next up is assembly. As I mentioned in the unboxing video, that pretty much involves putting this upside down in the top case, screwing the daughter board into the bottom case, and then mating the two. And that really is just about it. This is also the point you'd put in the weight or the silicone damper, but I am not doing that right now. I'm gonna use it just stock to begin with, and then tweak around with it and see what we find out. But that means it's time to actually grab the U80. Here we go. I prepared for this. I didn't want to put the U80 directly on my work mat. So I have a hopefully large enough microfiber to put it on. There's something hard, under the microfiber. Hence the microfiber. Because this is a work mat where I do all manner of little projects. I feel like I'm setting a table for a fancy dinner. Eating on a microfiber cloth. I'm not sure where that bit was going. I'm just gonna abandon that one. Okay. So, first things first, we're actually gonna put the feet on. We need a pair of scissors to open those. I have scissors. And so these are feet that are more like the Mode 80 feet. The Mode 65 went for 4 corners. The 80 had full length feet, and this 80 appears to as well. I think all of RAMA's keyboards have full length feet. It appears a company called Crown either made the adhesive for these feet or did the whole molding process. They don't appear to be bulged on either end. Yeah, so they look like they just go in flat. Okay. Take my garbage out. So we need to open this bad boy up, which we do with the T10 wrench here. You can see on the in. You can see on the heads of the screws here that they've got their specs on them. Pretty cool. This I see is an aesthetic choice. I laughed about it being on the internal screws just because they're so small, whereas this is clearly useful, and it kind of gives some look to it. Screws are pretty boring, so if you're gonna show them off, you know, why not really show them off? Those are tight. Woo! Yeah. Those are tight fasteners. There's one. Beefy fasteners too, goodness gracious. What are they? Only M4, really? Gosh, they look like M5. Wonder if those are machine tightened or those were tightened as tight as they are, but I don't even think I could get them that tight with that Allen wrench. Okay. Pick up the bottom here. And there you go. That is the inside of the RAMA U80. Now, while I have it apart, I actually want to weigh each of these pieces. I'm curious what the makeup of this board is. The Moon one has a aluminum weight. I guess accent, really. It's not really a weight in this scenario because it's the same material on it. So I want to know how much it weighs compared to the brass one on the Soya when I build that one. I saw on Reddit someone actually bought an extra weight during the group buy. Oh gosh, that's been zoomed in the whole time. I'm so sorry. Bought an extra brass weight to put on their moon one, and it looks fantastic. So if and when extras come, I might have to consider that myself. But all that to say, while I have this apart, I want to weigh these components so that we kind of know what the makeup of the build is. So I'm actually going to take this accent off for the moment. So it should just be sitting there. Yes, it is. God, it's beautifully machined on the inside too. That's pretty incredible. Let's look at this. Yeah, that's great. It's even chamfered on the parts you can't see. Well done on the attention to detail here to the design team of this keyboard. Yeah, even these are chamfered. They didn't need to do that, but they did. That's pretty cool. So I've got my cooking scale here. I'm not sure, will that fit in frame? Yeah, but only if the feet are crooked. Can y'all see that screen? Oh man, I think you can just, if I zoom out just a little bit more, you should be able to see that screen. Yep, that'll work. Obviously, I'll say the number 2, but. All right, so this is in grams, of course, because I'm not a monster. 145 grams for the Moon Stealth weight. I might already need to change my setup here. My work mat is firm enough that this should be a good measurement surface. Not sure if you can see that, but I'll call it out. 1,259 grams for the bottom. I'm actually going to weigh the top with the cloth wrapped around it because there's no soft touch surface for it. $875 grams. Oh, well, let's see. What does the cloth weigh? I'm not even sure this will register. It's pretty light. Oh, no, 35 grams. Yeah, so we'll need to remove that. I'll put the total on screen here of the parts minus the weight of the microfiber. Oh, actually, I guess while we're at it, let's weigh our plate, PCB, and switches. 531 grams for the internals. We're going to call the daughter board negligible in terms of mass. And then obviously we'll weigh the whole thing once it's assembled, and then after we put caps on it too, just get a nice variety of measurements. Okay, actually I need to put this back under here, like so. And screw this all back together. We use our silver screws with our T10 for that. So I'm gonna put the center in first. Lift it. That weight isn't actually touching the desk while you're using it because of the feet. So it's hovering just so off the desk. Make sure these are firm, but don't need to be too tight. This is where you would mount your accessory, either the silicone weight or the silicone dampener or the brass weight, rather. What am I going to do next here? I'm going to do the daughter board next, which goes on these 4 standoffs right here with our remaining T6. No, those are T10 as well. Disregard. M2 T10 screws. These have to be custom fasteners. That is a weird ratio of head size to thread size. Okay, so we got one corner just loosely done. I'm going to loosely do our second corner, and we're going to bias it against those 2 screws by just pressing on the port. And just finger tighten those. That's great. There we go. Daughter board. Now we're going to lay this down in here. there are little standoffs around the inner edge of the chassis that the mute mount kind of go around. So I'm just gonna make sure those are all fitted nicely. And then I'll hold this up and show you kind of from the inside here how the mute mount works. So remember, the mute mount is this piece of silicone that's trapped between the plate and PCB. So you can see it's overhanging around the edge of the PCB. So if you look past the edge of the gray PCB, there's these little pieces that go past it. And then there are places where it contacts the bottom case of the keyboard. So the whole thing's floating on that silicone mute mount. This is, I think, in a lot of ways pretty similar to gasket mounting, as I mentioned in my Mode 80 review. It is different, but I think it's quite similar ultimately in how the physics of the whole situation play out. As soon as I put that down, the silicone kind of jumped back out of those pockets. Oh, it goes back in easier this time though. Maybe just needed aligned the first time. The KBD 67 Lite, maybe the non-light version too, but definitely the Lite also uses this mounting system. So I've actually used this mounting system before, just not actually in a RAMA keyboard. So we've got all that done. Now we need to flip this over and screw it on, and that's that. So let me remind myself where the pins are. Yep, that coil's in the right direction. So what I'm doing under here where you can't see is I'm just plugging in the GST connector to connect the daughter board to the PCB. That goes in there nice and easy, that's awesome. And this drops straight into place. There's no tongue and groove or anything going on here. It just falls onto the back of the keyboard. And that's kind of that. I'm just gonna make sure everything goes together nice and affirmatively here. There we go. It's feeling good. Yeah, that's awesome. I know when I put this down, it might pop the back off just a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. But I will get things screwed back together here. I'm gonna do the upper screw, or I guess the further away screw on both sides, just to tack both sides into place. Also, oh, you can actually like feel it shut. Like I did like another like eighth of a turn and I felt the seams line up. That's pretty fantastic. Let me get that one started. I'm going to put this up on my hand. What's happening that's pushing the back off is the stems of the switches are pushing against the bottom plate when I put it down. I believe that's what's happening on the other side of this anyway. Yeah, same thing on this side. Just like that final eighth of a turn, really kind of locked the pieces together. Cool, yeah, it's definitely sitting on the stems right now because it's floating off the surface a little bit. And last screw, and then we're just put on caps. Oh my god. Oh, that's awesome. I'm actually gonna be able to type on a U80. Goodness gracious, I hope I like it. After all this waiting and hype. All right. This is gonna be a pretty cool moment, I feel like. Yeah, that looks rad. God, that looks good. The Zaku switches are a good combo with the, not really silver, I guess gray. Kind of a gunmetal gray of the moon colored U80. God, it is absolutely just a tank. Oh, I should wait. So I was going to. All right, so this is everything except for caps. At this point, I'm going to fold this up and bias the scale with it on there so that it's not taken into account, but that way the bottom of the keyboard doesn't touch my metal scale. Biased. All right. Without caps, 2788, almost 2.8 kilograms for this one. I believe the one with the brass weights come out to be like 3.6. Obviously, once we put caps on, there'll be a little bit more weight there. But 2.8 kilograms without caps, pretty hefty. Speaking of keycaps, normally I time lapse through those. What I'm actually going to do this time is I'm just going to cut through that so that I can have the cloth on top, and then I can do a big reveal. I like some showmanship in my life, so I'm gonna do that. Let's get that shot framed up right now so that it can be a nice big reveal once I've got it done. That in my monitor, that looks pretty slick. So, yeah, this is gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm gonna do like a magic trick in editing. I'm setting myself up for failure here, but it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna do one of these, just like that. And there'll be keycaps. How about that? Boom. Good job editing that, Ian. Nailed it. Can't talk your way out of this one. You've said it too many times. I've already bleeped once in this video. Holy shit. This looks fantastic. Very, very basic build. Again, because I'm limited in my keycap options with the 7U bottom row. But I think the Geek Arc white on black looks phenomenal. Sounds great. There's going to be sound tests after this. I'm not going to tease y'all with any like, you know, shoddy typing test here sitting in the workshop, but I tapped a couple keys and my goodness, does it sound good. I did add a little bit of accent, the 3 keys up here, which I believe are screen brightness by default. These are the Kuro RAMA grid caps. So the black ones. There's also smoky black, which are called Noct. I think these are the Kuro ones. Sorry, I teased you. My apologies. Wow. I'm so pleased with that. The gray and the black, it's very subtle. If you weren't into keyboards, this might not even look like a special keyboard, and I kind of dig that. Like, it doesn't scream out to you that it's special. It just is. Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Very simple, very beautiful. I do have on the way, you know, as everyone does, a couple GMK sets. Well, more than a couple. A shameful number of GMK sets that have, I purchased the kits in the group buy once I learned what 7U was, that have 7U bottom row support. So at some point this will get, you know, different caps and that kind of thing. But I'm so pleased with how this turned out. This is just absolutely fantastic. It looks so good. Let me weigh it one last time for our complete build weight here. I need to bias it with our cloth on there. If y'all don't use a scale often, don't know why I'm doing this, when you turn a scale on, it measures the current value of the sensors and sets itself to 0. So if you turn a scale on with something on it, it counts that as the 0 point. I'm gonna try and get this as in frame as possible for y'all. So right now it's figuring out what 0 is, and it's including the weight of this. Like if I remove this right now, see it says negative 32 grams. Now if I put it back on, 0 grams. That's how scales work. .935 kilograms. I couldn't remember if I said 2,000 or 2.9 kilograms. We'll call it. Far and away my heaviest keyboard now. And we've got the weight I can put in, which adds another 800 grams. The silicone doesn't weigh that much. Wow. I am absolutely pleased with this. Sound test after this, we're gonna do as is right now, then we're gonna do silicone dampener, and then we're gonna do internal weight, and I'll switch between those a couple times so you can hear each one compared to the other one, and it's gonna be great. I want to get this video out quickly, but I also want to type on this a little bit before I make the sound test. I find, at least the way I lube switches, they break in a little bit with use. So to hold myself accountable, it is Sunday, February 6th, as I am recording right now. If this is out not before the end of February, I messed up. I hope it's out even a week from now. Just enough time for me to type on this, break it in a little bit, and then record sound tests and edit the video. Thank you so much for watching. This is really, really deeply exciting for me. This is, again, one of the first keyboards that got me into this hobby, and now I I own one. I own two. I own one functional one. I'm going to do a lot of experimenting on this board to learn what I should do with the Soya one for the... I'm not sure how to say that. Soya. I didn't even know Soya was a thing other than a color till very recently. I got caught in 4K on a Discord asking, is Soya a thing other than a color? And yeah, it is, it turns out. So anyway, the Zaku's snapped really strongly into this. I think disassembling this is going to be quite the adventure. But I have the poly plate to try, I have the brass plate to try, and I've got the aluminum in there currently. I can't imagine I'd put the aluminum in the Soya one because it doesn't match color at all. But who knows? Maybe that's the way things will end up. I think ultimately the polycarb plate's going to end up in here. I'm quite interested to try that, but whenever I build a keyboard, I kind of just want to try it as the manufacturer, designer, company, vendor, whatever intended. So that's what we got here. Aluminum plate, Zaku's, Geek Arc, white on black with Durock V2 stabilizers. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the sound tests. Leave comments if you have questions or feedback. Subscribe if you want to see more like this. And the upvote button seems to work. So, not upvote button, Ian. This isn't Reddit. The like button. Hit like if you like this video. Hit downvote if you think I'm an idiot. It all counts as engagement. You can't hurt my feelings. Have a good one, and I will see you next time.